The James Show Podcast.
Do you know the name Gene Wu? It's okay if you don't, but he's the head of the Texas Democrats in the Texas House of Representatives. He's the head of the Democrat caucus. He was the leader when they all absconded and ran off to wherever they ran off to break the quorum last month for the special session. That was his bag. Well, he was recently on a podcast doing an interview, and he just slandered all of America and every American in American history, or at least the white ones. And I'm really tired of this ugly revisionist history that it just is so politically convenient to the current narrative in 2025. And in this one, here, I'll let you hear it yourself here. This is Gene Wu. He's a state rep out of the Houston area.
Most Asian Americans, when they come here, don't know the history and have never seen what was done in the past. And so, their vision of America is one that's very, very sterile and very clean. And so they don't understand this stuff when it happens. They said, we don't know what this is. And I said, this is racism. This is what they have done to everybody.
Damn it, dude. You know what? I am tired of being blamed for the things that the Democrats did 178 years ago. How are you accountable for the misbehaving Democrats in the 1800s on? How is that your problem? Don't you love how they conflate Democrat policy for what was the entirety of America? Yeah, well, America was built on slavery. No, not all of America. Only 13 of our 50 states had slavery, and there was just a small, tiny, 2% of the population there that had slaves. Now, a bunch of people were okay with it, but most people weren't. You know what they were called? They were called Republicans. But the Democrat Party has done all the nasty things that you get blamed for. When they talk about how this is a racist, terrible country. Well, no, not the whole country, just the Democrat Party. But yeah, well, they did the Trail of Tears. No, the Democrats did the Trail of Tears. Well, we had slavery. Well, that was a Democrat policy too. Well, we did segregation and Jim Crow. Democrat. Well, we didn't allow women to have the right to vote. You know who was at the forefront of the women's suffrage movement? Susan B. Anthony. The Republicans. Have y'all gotten anything right? So all these things, it's a misogynist country. It's a racist country. It's a bigoted country. It was bad to black people. It was bad to Indians. No, your party was. The Republicans at all times were fighting against you doing that. So no, that is not the history of America, sir. That is the history of the party that you're a part of right now. Can't stand that. No, that's not America's history. That's your history, bro. That's your team. My team doesn't have a Trail of Tears. My team didn't support segregation and Jim Crow and making people go into different bathrooms based on the color of their skin. What is their deal with bathrooms? Why are they always messing with people's going to the ones and twos? Ponderous stuff, man. To quote our good buddy, everyone's favorite Muslim, Casey Kasem, ponderous stuff. Did y'all know he was a Muslim? Did you know Casey Kasem was a Muslim? Did you know that? I mean, he's from, I think, Detroit or whatever, but his family was like Sufi Muslim from Lebanon or something like that. See, we're not racist. No one wanted to deport Casey Kasem because we hate ethnic minorities or religious minorities or immigrants or foreigners or... No, Casey Kasem, one of the universally most beloved American personalities in your lifetime. Got to be on almost every radio station in every town ever. He was the guest character in Scooby-Doo. No, this is not a hateful, terrible country. Oh, it's just racism everywhere. Shut up. No one supports that. You're being silly. It's kind of embarrassing when you conflate my history with the history of your party, because your party's history is terrible, sir. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is why they don't want you to learn history. This is why they're tearing down statues. This is why they're tearing down monuments. This is why they're rewriting history books. Like, we got to change this real quick. We need a new American history. It'll be called the 1619 Project, and that'll stain all of America with the sins of the Democrat Party. So it'll look like they were all in it, and it wasn't just us. No, it was just the Democrats. It was just the Democrats that put people in internment camps in World War II. It was just the Democrats that put a Klansman in the Supreme Court in the 1930s. It was a Democrat who decided to resegregate the White House after it had been desegregated. Teddy Roosevelt desegregated. Woodrow Wilson came in. They're like, what? You mean the black people are... No, they're supposed to be separate. That was your party, sir. Gene Wu. Coming up next on The James Show. If there's kids in the car that are a little young, this is a rare thing. You might want to skip it. I'll give you a brief synopsis, and then you decide over the commercial break if you want to come back. Now, if you got kids who are 12 or older in the car, they need to hear this kind of weird stuff. But from our neighbors up in Oklahoma, there's a horrible, just disgusting, it'll make you throw up story. An 11-year-old had a baby. It was her stepdad's. Stepdad's in jail. Mom's in jail. Grandma just went to jail. What the heck do we do in this situation? Do we put her entire family in jail? She's only 11. Who's going to take care of her? Who's going to help her take care of her baby? And there's no easy answer to this. So if you're comfortable, come back with me in about 3.5, 4 minutes, and we'll talk about this story in Oklahoma. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Local news coverage that's important to me.
You get up-to-the-minute current information.
Lots of local content.
Local news about stuff going on around in my area.
Keep connected, DFW.
News Talk 820 WBAP.
And now on FM at 93.3.
All right, football fans, you and I need to have a little chat here because the day is finally here. Football, real football. Not that cheap copy, that fake football called preseason. The real thing is here. James Parker here for Prize Picks. Dak Prescott can be on your lineup, and he has the maximum discount you can have on a stat. 0.5 passing yards. Look, I'm going to go ahead and make a lineup right here in front of your face. I'm going to say more on that one. That's an easy one. And then I got to find someone else. Let's see. What was it? Here. Saquon Barkley. 1 touchdown. Will he get more or less? I'm not going to tell you what to pick on that one. But I'm not liking our odds, gentlemen. But look, Prize Picks, I did it last year. It really did add a lot of fun to the football I was already watching. I'm not that optimistic about this season, but Prize Picks is so fun. Football will still be enjoyable, even if your team's not doing so good. Even maybe we're not going to win the Super Bowl. You can still add a little bit more fun to it. Look, and the Eagles are playing the Cowboys tonight, so the Prize Picks season starts tonight. But America's #1 daily fantasy sports app is different than the rest of the fantasy sports that you played. I remember when I was on an old-fashioned legacy fantasy league, I could submit a lineup, and then I would find out at the end of the week, at the end of the Monday night game, how I did. Well, for Prize Picks, you can have a lineup tonight. You can have a lineup tomorrow for the Chiefs versus the Chargers. You can have a lineup for Sunday for all those other games. You can do another lineup for Monday. You could do 4 different lineups in one weekend. So check it out. And if you're new to the Prize Picks app, you're going to get a little bonus here. Use promo code WBAP when you download the Prize Picks app, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP, get $50 in lineups on me with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. This looks like it might be good. Mike in Denton, you're on WBAP.
James, what's happening?
Hey, Mike, go ahead.
Okay, this is on your last segment. Before I make this statement, you need to know I'm apolitical and I despise both sides fairly equally.
Okay.
Okay, while it is 100% true that Democrats were responsible for old-time slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, and fighting the civil rights movement, it was a very specific kind of Democrat, which was the Southern Democrat. Now, when a Democrat signed the Civil Rights Act, that was the beginning of the death of the Southern Democrat. And throughout the rest of the 60s into the 70s, they all jumped ship. Where did they go politically?
Okay, let's talk about that. This is a great conversation to have. So in 1964, the Civil Rights Act, you say, is the defining turning point, sort of the border, the boundary between when the Democrats were bad and then when they switched to they're not bad anymore, and because a bunch of them jumped ship.
I'm saying the Southern Democrats left the party.
Yeah. Okay. So did you know the filibuster of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, longest filibuster in history? The 3 big participants in that: William Fulbright, Al Gore Sr., and Robert Byrd. Which one of them flipped?
It wasn't Gore.
Nope.
Sr. Which one?
None of them, actually. It's kind of a trick question. See, William Fulbright was just 3 years after that, Bill Clinton came back from Moscow and became his intern. He worked on his staff. That was his mentor. That's Bill Clinton's mentor. That's a Southern Democrat. He later became the Attorney General and then governor of Arkansas as a Democrat, and then, of course, president as a Democrat. He never switched. Al Gore, his son, Al Gore Jr., still a Democrat to this day, and not just like a fringe Democrat. He was, the senator and then the vice president and then the presidential nominee. So the figurehead of the Democrat Party for a good chunk of time there. Robert Byrd remained a Democrat until he died. And at his funeral, you had Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden all speak glowingly about him at his funeral. And that was just a few years ago. And that's our last 3 Democrat presidents. The real switch that happened wasn't between the party ideologies. It's the geography. I don't mind you saying, the Southern Democrats, because the Northern Democrats weren't as bad as the Southern Democrats when it came to racism and slavery, but they were still bad, and they were still in that party, and they still supported it.
Yeah.
Well, so the real question is the switch. When did the Southern states stop being Democrat and start being Republican? And we had a couple of sort of etch-a-sketch elections in the last almost 50 years, where the whole map just got shook up and reset. That was Nixon. The whole country, except for one state, voted for Nixon in his second election. What was that, 72, I think? And then in 84, everyone voted for Ronald Reagan. Every state went Republican except for Minnesota. So the switch...
And Carter was pretty much the last hurrah of the Southern Democrats.
No, well, you don't count Bill Clinton or Al Gore?
Not as much, but let me bring this point, James. I'm not talking about politicians jumping ship. I'm talking about voters.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Who would have been the KK members and everything else. They were Democrats.
Well, see, there wasn't a switch. It's not that the Democrats stopped lynching people, and so then the Republicans started lynching people. When the Democrats stopped lynching people, lynching stops. Racial lynchings stopped. When the Democrats stopped supporting segregation, segregation went away. When the Democrats stopped supporting Jim Crow laws, it went away. The Republicans didn't take up the mantle, and they're like, no, well, you got to go to the separate bathroom now. This is our bit. And so the Democrats, they're still racist. They just have a more benevolent form of racism. Like, you can't let guns go into the south side of Chicago. They'll just start shooting each other. They can't handle guns. These red state people, they're fine. But these people here, they are a lesser than. They can't be allowed to have access to guns. Are you crazy? That's the problem. They can't be expected to have a voter ID on election day. You know how hard it is to get a driver's license? These people are idiots. So it's still racist. It's just a more benevolent form of racism. And, if they keep throwing enough money around, people look the other way because they think, well, overall, at least I'm not supporting Hitler. So yeah, I love having this discussion though, because it's. Do
you agree that the majority of the Southern Democrat voters became Republicans?
No, I don't.
With the Reagan era, so they just stopped voting?
No, they didn't stop voting. They died.
And what about their children?
They didn't vote the same way that their parents did.
Because they saw them turn their allegiance, right?
No, because no one is racist anymore. No one is driven by racism. And I don't want to say no one is driven, but less than 10% of the country, I believe, is genuinely racist or even gives a rip about race when it comes to how they vote here. So if no one's racist anymore, the Democrats had to drop being racist because it was a losing proposition. They got absolutely killed by that because we just grew out of it. We're smarter than that. Racism's really dumb. It's an old idea that doesn't work in the modern times. And so, the Republicans were never on that train. And when the Democrats got off that train, racism hasn't been a problem since. Name one person in an elected office who will answer the question, are you a racist? Name one that'll say yes. I can't think of one.
Taylor Greene?
Marjorie Taylor Greene. No, she doesn't meant to be racist. All right. Hey, I got to run here. It was a good chat. Good stuff, Mike. Because
hey, James, just one quick thing. I'm a local comedian. I want you to come see a show sometime, and I will message you. You're on the east side of the Metroplex, right?
I'm downtown.
Dallas?
Well, yeah, I work downtown. I live in Bug Tussle, so I'm not really in a place. Just send me an email, and we'll work something out.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Our neighbors up in Oklahoma are in a weird situation here. What do you do if an 11-year-old gets pregnant and has a baby? Well, obviously, whoever the monster is who raped her, if it's an adult, you throw him in jail and you charge him with everything you possibly can. If anyone else knew anything about it, they go to jail too. Well, turns out mom probably knew something about it. Grandma probably knew something about it. They didn't say anything. And so what? Her whole family goes to jail. Now who takes care of her? I don't have a lot of answers for this, but I promise more details. This is from the local station KJRH.com.
Nobody, not even the neighbors. They say things, but they don't know what was going on.
I'm Isabel Flores with 2 News Oklahoma. You just heard from the 11-year-old's grandmother, Michelle Justice, who we spoke to in an exclusive interview last week. She has just been placed under arrest for child neglect. This comes after it was found through a paternity test that the 11-year-old's stepfather was found to have a 99% DNA match to the baby she birthed.
I live next door. I have witnessed them go back and forth to their mama's house across the street. She has provided for their needs because they have no running water for the last 2 or 3 years.
What?
Last week, I spoke with a neighbor who lives next to the house the 11-year-old and her siblings were removed from. She believes the entire family knew what was happening. The child's stepfather, Dustin Walker, and her mother, Cherie Walker, were also arrested last week on child neglect charges,
Gross.
according to an affidavit filed in Muskogee County. Authorities say the parents failed to provide medical care for their 11-year-old daughter, who was 36 weeks pregnant and delivered inside the home. Both parents claimed they didn't know she was pregnant. The child had not seen a doctor in over a year. The district attorney's office confirmed Justice faces 6 counts of child neglect. The affidavit states Justice lived across the street from her granddaughter, saw her almost daily, and was in regular contact, including the day she gave birth. It also states Justice cared for 5 other children in the same home, but failed to report the pregnancy.
I think Grandma thought she was doing what was right to help those kids. But what parent allows that?
In Muskogee, Isabel Flores, 2 News, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'll tell you who. An unfit parent, a sick parent that doesn't deserve to have kids. I don't know what we do for the kid, though. Where does she go? Is there some other relative? Is there an aunt or an uncle? Do you trust anyone in that family to take care of her? Is she going to get adopted? How do you adopt a parent? This is terrible. 800-288-9227. God, this is gross. Karen in Plum, you're on WBAP.
Hi. I was that kid. From the time I was 6 until I was 12 years old, I was abused by my father and as well as sexually trafficked. And when they found out about him, he got 6 weeks of alcohol rehab. That's it.
Oh, hang on. Did you get pregnant?
No, but it was suspected at one point. And I can tell you that the most important thing that happens now is that little girl gets taken care of. And there are multiple organizations nationwide that can help her.
Well, what happened with you? Did your dad go to jail?
He got 6 weeks of alcohol rehab.
Well, no, I mean, eventually.
No.
Is he out of jail now? Did he just live the rest of his life happy and free?
Yep.
God, that's awful.
Yes, he did.
Did that make you sick to your stomach? How can you even tell me this story? This is terrible.
Well, I'm better. I got the help that I needed. And the problem is that in society today, we focus so much more on, if you look at the Epstein files and things like that, and the school teachers that have abused the kids,
right? We
talk about them, but we never talk about what should be done for the kids. And that's the focus that has to change, is focusing on how, if ever there's a story, putting the numbers out there for these organizations that will step in and help.
Well, Karen.
And yeah.
What should we do for her?
Well, hopefully she has a father, a real father. But there's a national organization called RAINN, RAINN.
Right, heard of that.
I don't have the number. I don't have the number. There's Mama Bear that is out there. And you can, literally Google it and you can find multiple organizations.
I've heard of RAINN before. And I just double checked RAINN.org. It's the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. This has come up on shows before. It just wasn't on the top of my head.
Help. It's going to take a long time for this girl to get over this, because this wasn't just people, the fact that they call it molestation is wrong entirely. She needs to be treated for rape.
Oh, yeah.
It was rape.
That's total rape. Well,
yeah.
Where was your mom during all this, Karen?
Well, she didn't know for the most part. She was major breadwinner. And once I told her, she put a stop to it and called the police and everything, you know. But again, he got 6 weeks and of alcohol rehab, and he got a PPO until I was 18. That was it. Literally it.
That sounds absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm. And you know, this was back in the 70s. So, you know, it was all just be quiet, don't tell anybody, never speak about this again, never, ever, ever. And fortunately today, she's going to be able to talk about it, you know, but still there's a stigma there, you know, that was, at least when I was growing up, we were told, don't tell anybody because your friend's parents will think that you're a sexually active kid.
Yeah, or your damaged goods or whatever. God,
right,
Karen.
exactly. And so, you know, it takes a lot of, and I have other people about it.
All right, can I ask you another question about the aftermath after this all happened?
Yeah.
Your mom divorced him immediately and kicked him out of your life, never to be seen again?
Well, he used to stalk me. When I was a cheerleader in high school, he would put my games and I'd see him there. He wasn't supposed to be there.
What a nightmare.
But, you know, he would, you know, my brothers were still allowed to see him, which I never understood. But yeah, no, I saw him one other time as an adult after I was married to a wonderful husband. He also helped me through all of this. I went and I stood in front of him to let him know that I survived. I lived. And, you know, he wanted to destroy me. He told me that. And he lost.
What was his problem? What was he abused as a kid too? And so he's just acting out, you know, trying to reach that equilibrium again. Like, what's his bid? What happened to him? Oh, I'm sorry. Your phone broke up. Say it again. We lost her. Hello, hello, hello. Say that again. What was wrong with him?
I think he was just a sociopath. He beat all of us, you know, relentlessly. You know, I think he was just one of those people. He was,
an empath, a psychopath.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what else I wonder right now, Karen?
Go ahead.
There could be someone who's going through that right now listening to this show. There could be like a mom.
1 in 6 women will be sexually abused before the age of 18. 1 out of 6. There's 6 million of us right now.
Don't make me cry, dude. I have 2 daughters.
That's true. It's just true. 1 in 6 million women right now.
Okay. I think we all need to hear that. Thank you very much, Karen and Plum.
Thank you, James.
Hey, I hope someone gets some help from that. RAINN, RAINN.org. That is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. Please don't be scared to call. The whole of society will be on your side. RAINN.org. I want to end on a much more lighthearted note than the last couple of segments. Boy, that's really a bummer having to talk about those terrible stories about kids. But in this one, we have to go back into the well of Scott Jennings. This is the man who has the job I really want. I love the James Show, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world except for Scott Jennings' job. And Scott Jennings, if you're not familiar, he's this guy who shows up on the evening show. Abby Phillips is the host, but it's usually him at a table with 4 or 5 people who all disagree with him. It's like either 4 or 5 liberals and Jennings. Well, on a recent episode, I think not last night, but night before last, for some awesome reason, Ben Shapiro was there too. And so that was almost like too much. That was almost like, hey, now you go easy on him. You can't have 2 conservatives in there slapping down silly things these people are saying. But also joining the table, besides Abby Phillips, one of the liberals, the liberal you're going to hear in this clip, she's from the Young Turks. Her name's Anna Kasparian. Now, I want you to, if that name doesn't ring a bell, I want you to try and remember this in the future, because she is one of the people I put a thumbtack in, is she's going to convert. In 5 to 10 years from now, she's going to be on Team Red, and she's going to be very good at it, too. She's going to be an asset. She's going to be, you know, like Joe Rogan, his entire life up until about 4 years ago, up until horse paste, he was a Bernie bro. What an asset he was during the last election, right? But I love this because she is a woman that has been fed and bought into the same mainstream narrative most young people believe in and then eventually have to evolve out of. We're just getting to watch her evolve out of it in slow motion here. And she is promising, because when she realizes she is wrong, she often comes back and admits it. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought this would work. Or I'm sorry, I thought this is what I was taught, and it turned out that was wrong. Well, apparently, no one's taught her anything correct about the budget. Her scoffing at the idea of Social Security being a budget problem is hilarious. Because one of the great things about watching a Scott Jennings, and in this one you'll hear Ben Shapiro too, argument, is that how easy is it when you're right?
You should be.
By the way, I just totally reject what you just said about how we're going bankrupt due to Social Security. Really, you don't think like the trillions of dollars we've spent on wars in the Middle East might have something to do with that?
It's not even
our national debt.
What we spend on Social
our
Security.
national debt shot up significantly after 9/11, after we started invading countries in the Middle East.
You should look at a chart of
now we're at
national
30.
debt. In 2008,
we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Israel, on Ukraine. I mean, honestly, these foreign conflicts have a lot more to do with our national debt as opposed to us paying into the Social Security
You think
system.
Israel is a bigger portion of our budget than Social Security, Medicare,
I think we
Medicaid?
spend way too much money on military aid for foreign countries.
You think
Absolutely.
Israel is more
Do
than
you
Social
think
Security?
that Social Security is more of an issue compared to how much money we just shell out for conflicts abroad?
As a matter of expenditures and math, yes.
Both entitlements and
Yeah, I love that. Do you really think it's a bigger problem? And Scott just says, yeah, as a matter of numbers, yes. That you don't even have to like raise your voice or be dynamic or wave your arms around. All you have to do is just say the facts here. That very end part. God, I find that so delicious.
money we just shell out for conflicts abroad.
As a matter of expenditures and math, yes.
Both entitlements and
As a matter of math, yes. So, in the last full fiscal year where we have the numbers back, we'll use 2023. The U.S. government spent about $100 billion, $99.8 billion in all the foreign aid to all the countries combined. So what are we spending on Social Security in this year's budget? $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion. We're spending 15 times as much every year on Social Security as we are foreign aid. And if you want to talk about all defense spending this year is going to be $859 billion. That's 12% of our budget. We spend more on Social Security than on defense. In fact, we spend almost twice as much on just Social Security as defense. And it's not just Social Security. Did you know we spend more on Medicare than we do on defense? It's $1.1 trillion. You know how much we spend on interest on our debt? We spend more on that than we do on defense as well. $952 billion. So right there, we have three things that we spend more on than defense. But if you want to roll in some of this other like mandatory spending, if you count in like Medicaid and unemployment insurance and all that other stuff, there's another $1.7 billion there. No, defense is just 12% of our spending. You need to calm down. Social Security is tanking us. And if you don't want to have this conversation now, fine. We can have it when the whole thing collapses. Just remember that was right this whole time. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. If you need more James Show action, check out the podcast. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.